Hi, I'm Josh.
I'm Charlie.
And today we're going to be talking about EVs and solar, specifically whether you can run your EV on solar and whether you should.
Some context, 29% of EV drivers also have solar panels, according to a 2023 survey by Zapmap, which is how many more times than the national average?
6.
6 times. So clearly they're a popular combo, but why?
The first question is, can solar panels charge an EV? Yes, they can. After all, solar panels produce direct current electricity, or DC electricity, which your inverter will then convert into alternating current, or AC electricity, which you can use in your home and charge your EV. However, it's not usually financially a good idea to charge your EV entirely with solar electricity, as we'll go on to explain.
We usually recommend signing up to a time of use import tariff, or EV tariff, that you can use to charge up your car's battery overnight on off-peak electricity, and instead use some of your solar electricity in the daytime, but otherwise export the rest of it to the grid. And we'll explain this in more detail later on.
So some people still prefer to use purely solar electricity to charge their EV. If you want to do that and drive on sunshine, as some people say, you can, but how are you meant to go about that? Well, here's your answer. You can either get a standard EV charger, which will use a mixture of grid electricity and solar electricity, or you can get a solar charger, which will purely use solar electricity.
Now, if you have a standard EV charger, it doesn't discriminate between solar electricity and grid electricity. It will just use whatever is available. In its own eyes, any electricity is good electricity.
I agree.
So if you tell a standard charger to charge your car in the daytime and your panel's generating, it'll probably use a mixture of grid and solar. If you tell your standard charger to charge your car at night time, it will probably just use the grid. Well, it will definitely just use the grid because your panels won't be producing any electricity.
We've made a video on why solar panels don't work at night. You can get the link to that below.
Very relevant.
Or you have a solar charger, in which case it'll come with a current transformer, or CT clamp, that will automatically alert your charger to when your panels are generating electricity, and all of that electricity from your panels will go directly into your car.
Normally, an EV charger requires a certain level of current to work. So most domestic chargers are normally about 7 kilowatts. This is a bit like water pressure, but in electricity. With solar panels, they normally can't produce enough current to match what a domestic charger needs to work. But the beauty of a solar charger or smart charger is that it can actually adapt the level of current it needs to what the solar panels are producing in order to make sure that the panel only runs on solar power.
So what is the best way to charge your EV if you have solar panels? Well, as we've already said, the best thing you can do is sign up for a time of use EV tariff, which offers a cheap overnight rate. You can use this off-peak rate to charge up your EV and your battery for less, which is great. You can then use the solar electricity that your panels generate throughout the day in your house, and any excess can be exported to the grid so you can make even more money.
So why does this make sense financially as opposed to just charging EV with solar? Well, most EV tariffs off-peak overnight rate are about 7p per kilowatt hour, more or less. It can change. You've done an excellent article ranking all the best EV tariffs, so there's a link to that down below. In contrast, export tariffs currently pay about 15p per kilowatt hour, the better ones do, for exported solar electricity.
Yes, so it's basically a choice between saving 7p per kilowatt hour by not charging your car overnight and instead running it on solar electricity, and making 15p per kilowatt hour by exporting that solar electricity instead. The difference is clear.
Basically, do you want to save 7p per kilowatt hour, or do you want to earn 15p per kilowatt hour? Does having a battery change the recommended approach? No. We do recommend batteries for a load of reasons. We've got a really useful article linked down below to all the benefits of batteries. But when it comes to charging your EV, the approach should be the same. Not least because there's no point using one battery to charge up another battery.
Yes.
Also, most homes can charge up their EV overnight during the off-peak period from the grid. They won't need to rely on a battery.
Absolutely, they can. So the average driver covers 7,000 miles per year. If you are covering that much distance in an EV, you would only need to charge it for about 6 hours per week. And most EV tariffs offer about 35 hours per week of off-peak charging. So
exactly.
You're sorted.
The way a battery does help is that if you fill it up with off-peak grid electricity overnight, it's there in the daytime to offer some backup power on the gloomy days where your solar panels aren't producing that much. Additionally, if you don't fill up your battery overnight with off-peak grid electricity, you'll instead have to turn to expensive peak grid electricity on the days your panels aren't producing.
So what is the point of charging an EV with solar electricity? What the hell is the point? Well, basically, it's for people who think that the idea of driving on sunshine is really cool, and to be fair to them, powering your car entirely with photons from the star that lives in the sky is very cool and futuristic.
I agree.
However, it's financially not a great idea.
We estimate that you could cover about 82% of your car's electricity needs if you decide to cover it all with solar. It's not 100% due to seasonal variations in daylight hours.
Absolutely, but you will save 248 kilograms of CO2 per year on average. We've made this calculation by basing it on the idea that grid electricity is about 125 grams per kilowatt hour. If you want to see our full calculations, they are down below.
However, this is not actually any greener than powering your car with off-peak grid electricity. And that is because instead, if you're just exporting all that solar energy that you were going to put in your car and it's just being used by other people, the net effect is the same. It doesn't matter if it's going in your car or if it's actually powering your neighbour's blender or your local football pitch's floodlights or maybe the local discotheque. It's all helping the same cause.
Yes, it is. How do you go about establishing the ideal setup for charging your car with solar energy? Well, firstly, you need a solar charger.
Sure do.
There are about 15 to 20 good options on the market at the moment. You can find out all about those in our article, the link is below. Secondly, you'll have to make sure that your system is adequately sized to provide enough solar electricity to power both your home and your car. A good installer like SunSave can help with that. And the last thing you need to do is make sure to plug in your EV every morning, so you make sure that your car will be powered by sun throughout the day.
Now, if you're more inclined to take a better approach financially, i.e. charging with off-peak time of use tariffs, you don't need to get a solar charger. Obviously, you just need a standard EV charger. And you also don't need to make sure your system is sized larger to account for the EV's demands. But you do need to pick a good time of use tariff. And as we've mentioned, there's a great article written by Josh, which summarises the best EV tariffs available right now, and the link is still down below.
To recap, yes, you can charge your EV entirely on solar electricity. And if you want to drive on sunshine, then you're absolutely able to. However, it makes more financial sense to get a time of use EV tariff and charge your EV on that so that you can export your solar electricity and make way more money.
And if you're feeling put off by the high upfront cost of solar, consider SunSave Plus, which is the UK's first solar subscription. And it means instead you can switch to solar with no upfront cost and instead make fixed monthly payments. Your system will also be backed by the SunSave guarantee for 20 years, which includes 24/7 monitoring, maintenance, free replacement parts, downtime cover, and insurance. And you can find all about the SunSave Plus in a link down below.
Please subscribe to our channel.
Subscribe.
And goodbye.
Goodbye. Howdy, partner, you considered liking?
And subscribing.
Do it.
Do it.
Great.
And that's that video.